Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Around the Table. Welcome to another episode of Around the Table. We got a great broadcast lineup for you this afternoon. We got a great broadcast lineup for you this afternoon. But before we get started, my name is Raheem Aljamain, and I want to give everybody an opportunity to introduce themselves. We'll start with you, Curtis. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are and where you're calling from.
Hello, I'm Curtis Ramsey. I'm a videographer, photographer, entrepreneur, women's advocate for healthy flow, and I'm glad to be on here.
Good deal. Glad to have you. David, tell everybody who you are, doctor, and a little bit about yourself.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Dr. David Jackson. I'm a senior pastor. I'm a professor, an author, and a business owner.
Good deal. Good deal. What we're talking about today, what we're going to talk about today, the topic of our discussion today is a real simple and yet a complicated one, because I've been looking at a couple of things that's been going on in the news, and one of the ones I've seen was AB Antonio Brown and the situation that he has had in the last couple of months, and how he's been dealing with it, how he's been dealing with what's been going on for the last couple of months. And a lot of times in our community, people say that he acting that way because he got money. He's acting that way because he's well off, and he can do that because his money is going to help him. And that led me to this question that we're having today. And Curtis, I'm gonna start off with you. I'm gonna ask the question: does being well off like that, does that erase your blackness? Does society, do the world see you differently because you have money?
Well, I think what happens is money is an amplifier. So whatever personality traits you had when you ain't have money, it would definitely increase it, and it'll be more exposed,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll be more tempted.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's in you to begin with, you know, showboating, boisterous, things like that, it will be magnified.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. Doctor, what do you say about that, man? Does these guys, Antonio Brown, you got a few other people that I can name, the OJs of the world, different people like that, Mike, even the Michael Jordans of the world that have that has reached a certain status, monetarily. Do you think that changes the way that the world look at them? Does that erase their blackness?
I have to agree with Curtis that money is an amplifier of your
Mm-hmm.
character.
Mm-hmm.
But the world is going to view you differently because money talks. Let's just be honest. Money
Mm-hmm.
talks and BS walks. Always has, always will. So when you have money, it is certain assumptions made about who you are. There's even certain moral, ethical assumptions that people make when you have money that
Mm-hmm.
may or may not be true. We assume that people that have money are going to follow the law. We assume that people that have money are going to give to the less fortunate. These are assumptions that we make that
Mm-hmm.
people who have money may or may not believe or govern themselves by. And so, in order to really answer the second question, we have to deal with what is blackness? Like, what does it mean to be black?
Mm-hmm.
What is the assumption of um, money and blackness? Why is having money and being black is antithetical or paradoxical? I think those are deeper issues around the fact of systemic racism, um, white privilege, and
Mm-hmm.
people assuming that if you get money, you're more white now because we associate privilege and white with money. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have money, you have privilege. If you have privilege, you're not like other black folk.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think that there is some of that in the black community. The assumption that, well, you ain't struggling like I am, so therefore you're not having a full black experience. And I think those are things we need to address because I think
Okay, and that's good, and I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said it, Doc, because a lot of times, a lot of our children. Let's deal with this for a second. Antonio Brown. Let's deal with him for a second, and the person that he is in the media right now, and what he's doing. What kind of message is that given to our children? Does that make Is that a message of if you have money, you can act a certain way, and you can do the things that he's doing because of the fact that he have money? What kind of message is that given to our society, Doc? Then I'm going to you as well, Curtis.
well, I unfortunately I'm not familiar with the Antonio Brown situation. So please enlighten me.
Okay. Well, what Antonio Brown has done, what he's done at first, he was with the Pittsburgh Steelers to start out with. He'd been with them for several years, and the coach covered up. Coach Tomlin covered up a lot of the things that he's doing, that he has done in the past, and I don't know if that was enabling him or what, but when he left the Pittsburgh Steelers, he went to the Oakland Raiders, and he was there maybe about a month, signed a huge contract with them guys, and decided that he didn't want to be there. Hold on for a second, we got an incoming call. And decided that he didn't want to be in Oakland, and he did everything that he could do to get out of Oakland, and smeared a lot of different things, and just disrupted the team, man. Told the general manager he was going to punch him in the face and all kind of things, man. He did, and then he got cut from them. And in the course of all these things, he was jumping up and videoing it and putting it on Facebook and Instagram and different places like that, just highlighting to the world or documenting to the world everything that he was doing, all the negatives that he was doing. He was documenting these things by social media. And then so Oakland Raiders cut him, and about an hour or so later, if 2 hours, New England Patriots actually picked him up. And now he's over there with the New England Patriots, and everybody said it was all concocted, it was all in the works of what he wanted to do anyway. And now he have this young lady that's come forward and say that he sexually assaulted her. And now he's in New England, where he wanted to be in the beginning, but now he have these sexual assaults against him, charges going forward against him. And so with all these things that's being done, what message has that painted for the young people that's trying to make it to the point or the place where Antonio Brown is?
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot. I try to give you the short, condensed version, but there's so much more that he has done. But I
Whew.
want, yeah, it's certain things I wanted to put out there, man, to make it clear. He's done a lot, brother. He's done a lot.
He has done a lot on multiple levels. I think my short answer to that would be he's sending a message that the way that you get what you want is by acting the fool, basically. Sound like he's
Hmm.
basically leveraged his influence on social media. I'm sure he has a sizable following on social media. He's
Hmm.
leveraged that following, and he is threatening to, you know, he's exposing people. He's putting
Hmm.
people out there to the world doing stuff that they might not want to be out there to the world, which is the problem we have with social media anyway. The social media is great because it connects us globally, but the problem, one of the challenges with social media, is that you've now put the power of self-publishing in the hands of some people who don't know how to use it responsibly. Right.
Hmm.
So anybody can go live on Facebook right now. Anybody can go live and post anything they really want to for the most part. And so if you give that type of self-publishing power to the world, and you already have a following and influence, and you are putting out there, hey, they won't do what I want, or they ain't getting on my program, so I'm going to strong arm them by exposing them and embarrassing them on social media until I get what I want. So then the message you're sending to young people, particularly Black folks, is that, hey, if you want what you want, use your social media to expose people and embarrass them, and you'll get what you want. But here's the thing, that don't work for everybody.
Hmm.
The only reason why it's working for him, it seems, is because, unfortunately, I don't really follow sports like that, but it sounds like he's a hell of a player, right? It sounds like he's
Yes,
a
he is.
great athlete, and
Hmm.
that's what's working for him. And he clearly knows that, and he's using that to his advantage to get what he wants. But then, see, he tried to work the system to get what he wants, and then it backfired on him because here's this young woman now make these allegations, and who's to say more won't
Exactly.
come? Because you know how that goes. One
Hmm.
allegation comes out, it becomes a domino effect. So,
Exactly.
so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next few days and weeks and months to come concerning him. But
Absolutely.
I hate that he's used his platform to show his behind. It seemed
Hmm.
like he could use his platform, for some other things. But hey,
And do you think in his mind, and Curtis, I'm coming to you, then we're going to the caller. Do you think in his mind he thought that his level, the level that he's reached in life monetarily, and the things that he have monetarily would get him, or he's no longer black, and the black rules in this society, there's a lot of black rules, does not apply to him?
Well, I like to take it a step back
Mm-hmm.
and just even dealing with the culture and how it's designed. So media in the black culture is designed for us to look outrageous, act outrageous, say crazy
Mm-hmm.
things. That's what get the views. That's what get people following. Um, he if you feed the monster grows.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So it's not out there for a black male to be positive, showing him doing real good, things like that. So we have to really think about that. And as far as he's just really doing what he wanna do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a free. It's really it's a free country,
Mm-hmm.
but he don't have to be a role model to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But
But
and
but
we
but does
shouldn't.
but does it serve responsibilities? And I heard Charles Barkley say that a couple of years ago. I'm a basketball player. I'm not a role model. But when you reach a certain plateau in life, especially on a professional level, yes, they didn't sign up to be a role model. That's not what they signed up for. They didn't come in thinking that they're gonna be a role model of this, they're gonna be a role model of that. That's not what they signed up for at all. But at the same time, responsibility come along with that, and in that responsibility, the young children, whether they sign up for it or not, are going to look up to them. Do you not agree with that?
Okay, well let's just think about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to look at both sides too. If we as a black culture are looking toward Hollywood to really move our culture in a positive way, we had the system set up wrong. We're
Mm-hmm.
destined to fail because throughout time, especially nowadays, it's getting worse with Black Hollywood, and you had the meism, and now the kids growing up, you know, they're all about what I can do, what I can do to act crazy so I can get views and following. So if we're looking to these athletes or celebrities um, to be the voice, it it's only set for a few on top to really show what's good. But like I said, the Hollywood is the culture is to show black culture as degrading, less than, and you notice anyone who's really doing good in the community, really positive, you
Mm-hmm.
don't see them on top. You don't hear about them. If you do, it's on the back page.
Yeah. Okay. Good deal. Good deal. We have a caller. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? I'm coming to you in a second, David.
This Leonard Raheem.
Hey, what's up? What's up, Leonard? How you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Good deal. Good deal. We're talking about Leonard, and we're talking about a lot of the athletes that's in the world, celebrities, or who let's just say celebrities in the world today. They reach a certain status in life, and they reach a certain monetary level, and they think that having that money or being rich, if you will erase their blackness, and the world is not going to look at them the same because of the fact that they have money. What do you say to that, Leonard?
I don't see a whole lot to it because, I mean, like I say, I'm not in somebody else's head, but I don't believe they think that. I
Mhm.
believe they think just what everybody else would think that is successful. The
Mhm.
reason why you become successful is to get your way.
Mm.
Sometimes it says, I mean, say for instance, I've never looked up to a ball player. I
Mhm.
never have.
Mhm.
I enjoy the sport. I mean, they can teach you how to play their sport because they're great at it. But they're no role models of mine
Mhm.
or anything like that, not outside of what their profession is.
Okay. And see, I can appreciate that, Leonard, but at the same time, I have to say this: that you are of a certain age, and of a certain maturity. But the young people that's growing up, man, they're gonna look up to these people because that's what they want to become. And so in that, they become the role models. And the thing, I'm sure you're familiar with Antonio Brown and what he has done. What kind of message do you think that's sending to the young, impressionable minds?
Well, I mean, it depends on how you look at it, Raheem. I was young once too,
Mm-hmm.
but I was a different type of person.
Mm-hmm.
So one, this is a problem in our community. For one, is that one, if you allow a child to look up someone simply because of money and things like that, that's your fault as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think people understand. I look at black people as individuals first. So his behavior is no more indicative than to anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Brown is his own person. He possesses a talent that makes him one of the top wide receivers in the NFL.
Does responsibility come along with that?
Well, I mean, it just depends on what Antonio Brown is about personally. He is a ball player.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he does for a living. He's not a teacher. He's not a preacher. He's nothing else but a ball player.
Mm-hmm. But see, that's good. I want to go to doctor as well. That's good, but at the same time, you got to understand. To me, and I respect everybody's opinion. That's your opinion, Leonard, and I certainly respect that. But my thing is, when you reach that pinnacle, when you reach to that level, and everybody, football. You got kids on the football field every day, Pop Warner, Pee Wee League, and all these things. They look up to these guys, man. These are the people that they want to emulate and they want to become because of the fact that they want to reach that level of success. And so what he's doing to me, and again, this is just me talking. What I think he's doing is painting a very negative picture for the young people that's coming behind him. You could act a fool and still get rewarded because to me, I blame New England as well because they have a hand in this thing too. If they went and they signed him to their contract, knowing everything that he's done, then they have to be responsible as well. Doc, what do you say to that?
Well, again, I agree with you, Raheem. I respect the brother's opinion. Two responses I have. One is that unfortunately, Black people don't have the luxury of being viewed as individuals because of the way that the system has been structured. We and many of us can relate that even on our jobs in the marketplace, a lot of times we are representatives. Some people, I'm not saying all organizations, not all white people do this, but a lot see you as a representative and can then say, because of what you do or don't do, all Black people, so they can make generalizations based upon their interaction with you. And again, I'm not saying all people do that, all organizations, but historically, that has been the situation. If you look at Black history in America, the whole issue of being accepted by the larger culture, we were all taught about sensibility, how we should carry ourselves, dress a certain way, speak a certain way, so that we can be accepted by the larger culture. That has been a part of our history in America. So to say that in 2019 that's completely eradicated or erased is not true. It's not honest. So he can't say that he's an athlete as a Black guy. Whatever he does is on him, and that in no way has no reflection on Black culture. I don't think it's true. That's just my opinion. The other thing is that money means responsibility. It doesn't matter if he's not a preacher. I'm a preacher. I understand that. Yes, I'm held to a higher moral and ethical standard. Absolutely. But when you have money, people assume, as I said earlier, that you are operating at a certain moral, ethical, legal level, which might not be true because, like my brother Curtis has said, that, hey, money magnifies or reveals who you really were. And so you may not be a moral person. You may not be an ethical person just because you have money, but it's the assumption we make. A parallel assumption we make is also with intellect. People assume that for me, I have a doctor's degree. Right? People assume that if I have a doctor's degree, that it means I'm in some way maybe ethical and moral. Just because a person has education doesn't mean that they're ethical and moral. Same thing with money.
Good deal. Good deal. Curtis, what do you say to that? What's on your heart, brother?
Basically the same thing. Negativity and stupidity is really put on the spotlight in order, and really the kids and stuff that are looking up to that. They see that over and over again. You look at the music industry. What do you see? You see women half dressed, men talking about drugs and things like that. And repetition can play a part in a child's mind. And so, we need to encourage our children, instead of just looking at TV, pick up a book. Educate yourself, because really, if you're a parent and your child is looking at these things and want to be these things, you're failing them. You're limited them to a stereotype, which we know that all Black people are not like that. And so we have to educate them. And so you have to ask yourself, all these children that are looking up to someone like Antonio Brown, where are their parents?
That's good.
What part do they play a role in saying, hey, that don't follow him because bad things come from that.
Good deal. Good deal. And Leonard, I'm gonna come to you. I'm gonna come to you on that. And I love what Curtis brought to the equation, man. If the parents were parenting and they saw their child looking up to someone that may not carry the responsibility well, and they're looking up at this child as a role model. If the parents are parenting, would they not step in and tell that you look here. Let's have a talk. Let's have a conversation. Come, let me talk to you for a second. Let me explain something to you. Would the parents do that, Leonard?
Well, good parents do. I mean, that's what I do with my children.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have a son who's 20 and I have one who is 11.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, these types of things that parents have to realize is that, one, if you are going to raise your child a certain way, you need to be active in their life. When you hear them repeating rap lyrics, for instance, ask them, do they know what they're saying?
Mm.
Ask them if they know what those words mean that they are saying.
Mm-hmm.
And one rule we have around here is, if you don't know what the word means, you don't say it.
Mm-hmm.
So
good.
one, it's not so much as, because what I won't do is I won't throw another brother under the rug.
Mm-hmm.
That, for the very simple fact, I respect him as a human being first.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And everybody makes bad choices, and you ain't got to look at their TV. It could be your cousin, it could be your uncle, it could be your brother, it could be your sister, it could be your mama or your father. That's the bad influence.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to put it into the perspective of parenting.
Mm-hmm.
Everything a child needs is an issue of parenting.
Mm.
Now, if you do not want your child to be influenced by those things that are popular, you might want to restrict their ability to watch television, restrict their ability to listen to the radio, or however you want to run your home.
Mm-hmm.
However, we know that it's very unrealistic.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
What you should do is to teach your child to separate those things he should emulate.
Leonard, let me say this. Hold on. Let me step in 1 second and say this right here, Leonard, because this is something that when you said that, this immediately poured over me. You could do that in your home, but what do you do when your child go visit his friends? What do you do when your friends is at school and in the school, you know, these phones, man, you can do anything on the phone. You pull up videos, look at TV, anything that you want. You can do it on it's a little computer. So you can govern it the way that you want to govern it in your home. But how do you control that when your child steps outside of their home? What do you place in that child to make sure that they understand that they should not do that while they're with their friends? What do you do in that instance, Leonard?
Well, first of all, you should have some type of rules in your home. And if you don't have any rules in your home, it's going to be a lot worse. But it's not to try to control your child that way. It's try to do the best that you can to give them a balanced view of what they're experiencing. You should explain and talk to your child. You should allow your child to ask you questions. And then your child will start to recognize, okay, this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. I'm not going to choose to do this. I'm not going to choose to do that. Because I think, you know, we're putting too much responsibility on somebody else situation. You can't control somebody else. The only thing you can control is yourself.
Okay, let me make sure that is clear with what you're saying. When you say you can't control someone else, we're certainly not talking about our children. We're talking about the other people that may come in contact with our children. That is what you mean, right?
Yes, that as well. But, you know, you must be a parent. And the key is not whether or not a person is a role model or not. What is your child trying to be? What part of, because one, even though Antonio Brown, you may not like him personally, but if your child had, if you had an opportunity where your child would mentor him who wanted to become a wide receiver, that still would be one of the best choices that you could make in regards to the brother's skill and talent. But you might not want him giving your son advice on how to conduct himself with a young lady.
Absolutely.
We're not gonna just throw our people out with the bathwater after we don't walk around trying to emulate what the white man after what he has done. We can't be so stereotypical and so strict and so hard on our people who make mistakes.
But shouldn't we, Leonard, have standards that if this individual don't stand up to the standards that we place in our lives, in the lives of our family and children, shouldn't we have a standard that if they do not upstand or live up to those standards, not that we're going to throw them out with the bathwater, not that we're going to do that, but we have to be able to limit. We have to be able to limit what the exposure that we have to that individual. And let me go to Doc. Doc, what do you say to that?
Okay, so I agree with a lot of what the brother is saying, that the standards for your kids begin in the home. and what you teach them. Because like you're saying, my brother, when they leave your home and when they're not in your presence, it's the values that you instill in them that's going to keep them in place once they're out of your presence. So I agree with him 100%. Where I would give some pushback is around the whole issue of notoriety. Going back to what we're talking about, like it or not, when you become a public figure and you come on the public stage, you are held to a higher standard, like it or not. It is what it is. And I think that's one of the areas where we as a people need to become more mindful as we are raising our kids. If we see they have a future as an athlete, if we see they have a future as a public figure, we have to start training them. I'm so thankful for my mother who's on watching now, who began to train me as a kid and my brother that we're going to go somewhere in life. There's going to be a lot of places you're going to go. You're going to be the only Black person. There's going to be a lot of places you're going to go. People are going to be looking at you as the model. So you need to carry yourself a certain way. And I'm so thankful for that training and teaching I got as a young person, because now I have literally gone around the world. I've sat at all sorts of tables. I've sat with all type of people, and I've been able to carry myself well in those settings because of that training. I think a part of, like my brother was saying, is it does go back to training and everything. But we have to remember, we have 2 generations now of Black young people who have not really been fathered and sometimes haven't been parented. So where are they going to learn it? TV. They get role models from people in their field or where they want to go. So if I'm a student athlete, of course I'm going to look to the best top level athletes as my model. And if I'm looking to Antonio Brown and he's doing these things, unless I have somebody to check me and give me a counter voice, which is where I, as a pastor, I challenge the church to step in more and begin to mentor and begin to provide a counter voice to what the culture is providing. But hey, if I don't have a mom that believes in my dreams, speaks to my dreams, she may be working like in, this series that's on OWN, David Makes Men. If you haven't been watching that, that's really speaking to the reality of a lot of urban youth who have a mom who works all the time, who's not there to say all the time, son, you're a genius and you're going to make it. He's being mentored by a figment of his imagination. Man, you see, so if I don't have somebody real, who am I going to look to?
Exactly.
He balling out of control. He's in the NFL. He used his social media platform to leverage to get what he wanted. When they told him he couldn't have it, he leveraged it. So what are we telling them? If you can't get what you want, leverage what you got, use your talents, and you're going to get what you want. And even when it comes out that says that you potentially have been engaged in sexual misconduct, I just looked up something they haven't. It looked like they're not going to remove him from the Patriots. Why?
Wow.
They're saying they're going to remove him anytime soon, despite the allegations. That why? Because the boy is good at what he does. The bottom line is the bottom line. It's that paper. Come on. It hits different when it's about the money. Now, if he wasn't valuable, would they be standing behind him in these allegations? Again, what message is that sending to someone who don't have a mama, don't have a grandmama, don't have an uncle? Say, now listen here, boy, you're going somewhere. You can be on that level like him one day, but don't ever get it twisted and think that it's okay. You may get by, but it's not okay, because these are the standards. These are the morals. These are the ethics. These are the beliefs that you need to be governed by.
And see, my thing with that, Doc, I'm gonna say this to you. That's disheartening to me, that they're not going to take a stand and sit him down until they find out. Because, and the reason why I said it, what about the young lady? What message are you sending to her? It's okay, it's okay. He okay, blah blah blah. You're really giving a very negative, and she came forward. And I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't say one way or another whether he's innocent or whether he's guilty. I can't say that. And I would be very wrong in trying to even say that. But my thing is, there should be an investigation. There should be some kind of investigation. Sit him down until you find out what's really going on. I'm not saying even stop his money. I'm not saying you stop his money, but don't let him play. Don't put him on that field to represent your team if he's guilty of this.
Well, a part of that is some fields is designed to protect their people. I was in law enforcement. I was a cop for almost 5 years. And I know that if an investigation or allegation came up for a cop, they didn't fire the officer immediately. They would put you on administrative duty while they were conducting the investigation. because
Absolutely.
of course you're innocent until proven guilty. That's how the criminal justice system is set up, and that applies with officers. So if an allegation came not only in your duties, but even in your personal life, if there was an allegation, they were on this say you couldn't serve as an officer, but your service was restricted, so you wouldn't be answering 911 calls. Depending on the level of the allegation, you may not even be able to carry your duty weapon, right? So like that in other fields, it sounds like a similar thing is happening here. Of course, I can't speak to it because I don't work for the NFL, but it's like they're saying until we get more information, we're not going to make a move either way. So again,
but Doc, actually, they are moving in a direction towards.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they're making a statement that, hey, we've heard these allegations. It's not strong enough to make us not sit him on the bench because, again, what's the real issue here? He is an asset. We brought him here. We brought him back here because he is an asset to our brand, to our franchise. And even though these are serious allegations, he is still an asset to our brand. And at the end of the day, we still need to make that paper. Now, that's what it looks like. I'm not saying that's what it is.
I see the same thing. I see that. And see, my question to that is, what does it profit a man to gain the world but to lose his soul? What does it profit a man? And that's exactly where I go with that. Curtis, coming to you. Leonard, coming to you next. Curtis, what's on your heart?
That's basically true. And what Dr. Jackson said, it's kids are seeing people taking a shortcut to get to the top, and they're getting glorified, and they're getting money behind it. And they see that over and over and over again. So they have it in mind to say, okay, why am I gonna, bust my tail and do this book, do this research, stuff like that, when I can go and do the easy way, get somebody to do my papers, stuff like that. And actuality, a lot of times it's that case, the ones who got influence, the one who's got the paper, they make it up there. But what they don't see is the repercussions of it. What happens after the fact. It's like on a TV show, you got a robber, he gets shot, and the next show, everything over it. You don't see that robber getting shot, and he's going to the hospital. You got to recover 2-3 years, things like that. All they see was, man, he was trying to get the money, and he on the next episode. So you really have to see the whole picture and things, and like it goes back to parenting. The parents teaching their children the repercussions that happen of taking the shortcut. Yeah, you might not get all that money like you see all these celebrities and stuff getting, but you still have your value. You still have your moral ability to think, and you'll be happier in the long run. Because a lot of times you see these celebrities on TV and whatnot, they're not happy. When the camera says cut, they're sad. They got people that they have arguing with. They're miserable. They go back to their mansion. Yeah, you see them go back, but they're taking drugs. They're not. Their mind is not stable. You don't see that. You just see what they want you to see and what the media portrays.
Absolutely. We have another caller from the 310 area code. 310. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What was the question? I'm sorry.
No. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm Willette, and I'm calling from at this time, North Carolina.
Okay, good deal. And you say Willette?
Yeah.
Hey, Willette, how you doing? Thank you for calling in. I definitely appreciate it.
I was gonna say, you know me.
Yeah, I do. I do. Absolutely. But what's on your heart? What's on your heart? We're talking about, and our topic of discussion today is: does having money erase your blackness? Does having money erase your blackness? What do you say to that?
I agree with everybody on the panel. A lot of things that they've been saying. No, the money doesn't erase your blackness, but like he said, the money shines onto your deficiencies. It shines on what you're lacking. It shines on whatever your thing is. It just intensifies you would probably be able to hide who you were in the dark, but once you have that money, it shines, it gives light to everything. And because you are representing, like he said, our race as a black, it just gives them one more thing to say negatively against us.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. That's good. That's good. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Oh man, I'm listening to different points of view. Of course, like I said before, this is not just, it has to be based on some type of value system.
Mm-hmm.
And I just don't think I don't think that color is a value system. Okay.
Okay. Explain that to me, brother. Explain that to me.
A completely different point of view of a lot of issues.
Mm-hmm.
Now, academically, with critical race theory and things like that, I understand lots about racism and its effects. However, I know that most African Americans are trapped in a lot of things that the perceptions, by their perceptions. And so we're so disappointed when we see certain things. Antonio Brown messed up. The black race didn't mess up. But
see, Leonard, let me say this to you, and I agree with what you said, and you're absolutely on point with what you're saying. But as a society, as a world, some people can't separate. They can't separate. They can't separate Antonio Brown from the black community. They say, and they would not say Antonio Brown messed up. They say that black man messed up. That black man acting a fool. See, you can't give that. You can't give black people this amount of money or that amount of money because they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to navigate themselves when they have that type of income. What do you say to that?
Well, you know what? I've never heard any white people say that though.
Mm-hmm.
I've only heard black people say that.
They're not gonna say it around you.
They're not gonna say it for us. They say it. You just don't hear it. They say it.
And not all white people. I don't mean to say all white people. I want to be careful.
When they didn't have to mind their manners, and they wouldn't even have a black quarterback because a black man wasn't smart enough to be a quarterback. Okay, so they didn't have any. But we had to break that. So you no longer attribute those things. Now, if you want to continue that and teach that way of life to your children, you do them a disservice. And a lot of people look at this situation completely different. Antonio Brown needs to maximize his options. So his choice has nothing to do with anybody else because of the position and the money. He's probably been the same person the whole time. He doesn't seem like he has a huge, great value system. Now, the brother may be just black as everybody else, but that doesn't mean he has a particular moral or ethical code that he deals with on a regular basis. So I would never expect him to be a certain way. Because I know there are a lot of people who are very talented people of high esteem. And next day you find out they've been sleeping with underage girls. You understand?
Yeah.
Well, see,
so as black, we have to internally move away from this white supremacy narrative that they control our value. When you see guys like Antonio Brown, more of it is you get to see someone who really does not care about that perception and who has learned to manipulate it. And he just happens to have an awesome talent. Like a lot of the brothers mentioned before. It's that talent which makes him valuable. Yeah. And everybody else is operating on that level, except for those people of that colored mentality.
See, let me say this. I mean, when you say that, man, that's a real touch. That's a real touchy spot right there.
For that conversation, I'm sorry. If I can jump,
let me pull some more people into the conversation. Go ahead, Doc. What's on your heart?
Okay, so Leonard, I hear what you're saying. I think we have to temper. I just did a podcast interview with the CEO of Melanin People. We're talking about systemic racism, and you have to balance systemic racism with internalized racism. So what I hear you saying is that we have to move away from this narrative of it's the white man, it's the system, and we have to begin to deal with our own internalized racism. We have to begin to deal with the ways in which we see ourselves as inferior, the ways in which we operate as subpar, and recognize that we're excellent and worthy as anybody else. So I agree with that part. We have to temper it and also remember, as the told us at the turn of the 20th century, that we have to live with a dual consciousness, right? We live with a dual consciousness that we are Black, trying to operate in a dominant world. And there has been history of systemic oppression and discrimination and prejudice against one race to the advancement of another race, right? That cannot be denied historically, organizationally, socially, politically, and otherwise. So what we have to do is teach our children and ourselves. Come on. It may be the system that we're dealing with, but greater is he that's in us than he that's in the world. You have to believe in yourself and believe in the God that's in you, and believe that despite obstacles that you can advance. And let's be honest, what our grandparents had to face in terms of racism in the culture is much less subtle, much less implicit than it was in their time. And so we have the greatest time ever to make advancements as a people, as an individual and as a people. But what is keeping a lot of people of color from moving forward is that same narrative. So I agree with you, my brother, that same narrative of what they do and what they won't let me do. We got to get over that, but also learn how to maneuver the system. The Bible tells us that we must be as wise as serpents, but harmless as doves, which means our maneuvering is not for harm. Our maneuvering is to advance and to get over obstacles that has been designed to keep certain people out. But the wisdom of God allows us to know how to maneuver and to get around those barriers and to get to where we are called to be.
Absolutely.
And we deserve to be.
Absolutely. Willette, what's on your heart, Willette?
Oh, you hear me over here, huh? I want to say, amen to what he said, because it's real. Because a lot of times we say they doing this, they doing that, they do this. I grew up in West Hollywood, California. We were the only Blacks there, and I've been able to see it from both sides of it. But to take responsibility for ourselves, just like he said, that our older generation had to go through way more than we had to. We have it easy compared to what they went through, and they accomplished more than what we did, because we think we got more material stuff, but our families are falling apart. Our families are dissolved, and it has a lot to do with ourselves. And just like you say, the white man doing this and that, to keep it 100, they live in their life, and all they got to do is watch us do it against ourselves. We have racism more deeper amongst ourselves. Even with it being a Black woman, if I look at another Black woman see me, she'll look at me some kind of way instead of acknowledging each other's beauty. If I acknowledge your beauty, it's not gonna take one eyelash off of me, but we can't do that. And we acknowledge each other and uproot each other. Our power is within ourselves, but we're also destroying ourselves because we are. If this person have it, we got to go steal it from them instead of work for it ourselves.
And that's and that's a reality, man. The racism within our own community, man, and it has not always been that way. It has not always been that way. We've been trained a certain way, and we have to get to a place where we untrain ourselves so we can move forward and find the love for our own brothers and our own sisters, man. We have to get to a place where we can love each other and collectively come together and do something. And then, only then will we be in a place where we can make a positive impact on ourselves, our home, our community, and each and every one of our children. That children, my wife is educated. I bet she better not hear me say children's. She will definitely get on me. But she's an educator, man. 23 years in education. So if she hear me say children, I might not be able to go home. But let me go to Curtis. Curtis, what's on your heart?
Basically that we have to upbuild each other, not tear each other down. And it's so easy to do that than to do the kind thing, and a lot of times we're mad and we don't know why. It's because we're not helping the next man out, the next woman out. We're just all in it for ourselves. And even in social media, that's all you see. You see brother tearing down brother, sister tearing down sister, and it's not. You don't see the, hey, if this person, I can help this person out. This is what they need to do, and really, it also deals with the consumer. So, as you know, the blackness we consume, we're telling them this is what we want to watch. This is what we want to see by doing that, and by things going viral. You see the Popeyes chicken thing, how that went viral, and you didn't get 1 cent from it. So you know what? The society's like, oh, this is what they want. We're gonna give them more of it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my thing is this right here, man. Let me give the phone number, man. We got a few more minutes before we get out of here. Man, we really need about 2 or 3 hours for this broadcast right here. We really need a little more time, but I said we was going to do it for 1 hour, so I want to be respectful of everybody's time. But the phone number is 678-381-1973. 678-381-1973. Give us a call. We love to hear your heart as well. And the topic that we're talking about today, does having money erase your blackness? Does having money erase your blackness? Do they look at you different because of the fact that you reach an economic plateau in your life? Do they look at you different, or do they look at you the same? And how do we look at you in our own community? When a person gets X amount of money, do we look at them differently? Do they become a cash cow, or do we respect the hustle that they had in order to get there? Leonard, what's on your heart?
Oh man, you just hit on so many things, Raheem, at once. But, dude, this is what I do. This is in educating in the community and trying to change this dogma that we are less than by default. So many of our young Black people have accepted that. And so it alters their destinies in a way. Because like the sister said before, I was one of those Black kids that were in environments where there were very Black children and things like that. But there were things and objectives that I was trying to accomplish that I had to be in those places. So what I tried to teach young people is really what the movement was about, and not to get it confused with this romance tied into how pretty your skin is. You understand me? Because the movement and our ancestors were about being recognized as human beings. Not as gods and goddesses and kings and queens. As human beings. They were not even treated as human beings. Men were shouting out because they wanted to be treated as men. Not as men, but as men. This is our value. And it's getting too commercial. Like you just said, does money take away your blackness? Well, the question itself is a bit, I love the rhetorical part of it. However, how can it take away your blackness? In actuality, it can't.
It puts your blackness in question.
That other Black people don't like. But you're still a Black man. I don't care what you do with that money.
Leonard, let me ask you this. Have you ever seen a situation and where a person will say that, you used to be this way? Not talking about you personally. We're not personalizing this thing. But have you ever seen a situation where somebody say, well, they used to be this way, but then when they got that money, man, they don't even come around here no more. They moved into their little fancy neighborhood. They doing this and they doing that, and they don't even come by here anymore. Do you think that person has forgotten a piece or a part of their blackness?
No, the person that is making that observation may have an issue with their accomplishments and achievements. Because making the statement. That statement may not be true. And see, this is what I'm talking about. Racism has done a terrible job on us. And it has affected us in a lot of different ways that are still to be discovered. And so we have to arrive at this thing. Why do we expect more from rich Black people than we do from white Black folks? Is it because of slavery? Or, what would you attribute this notion that somehow money makes you different? Because usually what rich people will tell you, rich Black people, it just gives you more money to do and act who you really are anyway.
Mm. Doc, I see you over there, Doc. I see you, brother. What's on your heart?
So, Brett, I don't even know where to start. I think we have to remember, we have to keep everything in historical perspective. I'm kind of a history person by training, church history and Black American history. With Du Bois and Washington and Elaine Locke was having this argument over how Blacks should be educated. The whole notion of the talented talent, which Du Bois is really big on, that the 10% of Blacks who had the privilege of being educated and trained, it was their responsibility to educate and equip and help the masses. And so while I don't think that notion of the talented 10th is still as strong as it used to be at the turn of the 20th century, meaning at the beginning of the 1900s, I think that there is still embedded in Black culture the thought that when Blacks make it to a certain place, be it financially, social, they may not have economic capital, but if they have social capital, meaning they have a platform in media and arts and entertainment and athletics where they can use their platform or their notoriety to leverage that to impact positively Black culture and Black community, it is still in our culture an assumption that we should use that to help. And that in some ways, if you don't use your money or don't use your influence or don't use your connection or your knowledge to better your community, that in some ways you're not being Black. That is still a part of our culture, be it right or wrong. And are we ever going to get to a place where a Black successful person get the right to say, I don't see myself as a Black man, as our brother was saying. I see myself as a man. I don't see myself as an African American. I see myself as an American. Will we ever as a people even get to that place? Is it right to even be able to extract or bifurcate your Blackness from your manhood? Can you even define ontological Blackness apart from your gender? Is it possible to do that? And so we have to really see, are we ever as a people going to be able to do that? Is it right or wrong? That's every person's individual reality. Yes. But for us to say that in this particular case, Antonio Brown is not viewed by many Blacks as being not Black because he has gotten to a position where he has financial equity and he has influence, and he is not using that and handling that in a way that most Blacks would consider to be ethical and moral. He's not handling it correctly. Thereby, he is sending a stigma that Black people don't know how to act when they get money and when they get status, which offends decades of Blacks working to demonstrate to the larger society that we deserve to have the money and we deserve to have the positions. We know how to act, right?
Now, let me ask you this question right here. What would you say to the people that say that no one have the right to tell me how to act in any situation? I act the way that I want to act, and I don't have the way that I act does not have to line up with the way that you think I should act. What do you say to that individual?
So, well, I mean, that's a very prevalent thought. That's relativism. I do me, you do you, and you don't have the right to tell me how I am to govern myself. Or, postmodern concept is you don't have the authority to say that I have to be governed by a certain authority or a certain belief. I am my own individual, and I can determine my own path. That's very prevalent right now. And so a lot of people have that mentality. But what I'm saying is those who are still stuck in a modernity narrative that says you're not an individual. I am because we are. That's African cosmology. I am because we are. So you don't have a right to take your behind up there and say that you can do what you want to do, and it has no bearings or no impact on the larger culture. You're going to have people, mostly your baby boomers, and maybe some of definitely your silent generation. So it's a generational issue too. Your silent generation, your baby boomers are most likely going to be of that mindset. How dare you take your behind? We don't march and bled and went to jail and suffered for you to even get that kind of money. And you're going to get up there and say what you do ain't got nothing to do with us. Is an affront to many. But then we start seeing more Xers and maybe your millennials who are like, hey, individual, So some of it's generational, some of it is how we were taught and raised. It's just all over the place. But my whole contention, and I'm done, is that you cannot isolate this incident from a whole historical narrative of Black people in America. You have to look at the history and the content. And when we look at it and put it all together, then we can understand why people have certain beliefs about why when Black people get to a certain level of affluence, their Blackness might be questioned, especially if they're not governing themselves appropriately or according to our standards as Black people, and they're not using their money to impact Black culture in a positive way.
Exactly. We have a caller from the 224 area code. 224 area code. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, my name is Yvonne Smith Canigan.
Hey, Miss Yvonne, how you doing?
That's one of my friends.
Good, thank you.
What you say, Doc?
That's one of my friends, Dr. Yvonne.
Oh, good deal. What is on your heart? You've been listening to the conversation for a minute, and what is on your heart? What do you think about this? Does money or the abundance of money erase your Blackness?
Well, nothing can erase what you look like on the outside. And, you can't look at life as, black, white, or indifferent. Yes, we all have a body or a temple that God has given us that we live in, but it depends on what we do with the money that we're fortunate enough to have. And that is, to me, that is the conversation. The conversation is, what can we do?
Yes.
To make other people's lives better if God has given us the money and the ability to do that.
That's good. We have another caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? That's good. Thank you.
This is Tawanda.
Hey, Tawanda, how you doing?
Oh, I'm struggling.
Tawanda, you had a hard time getting in here, didn't you? You had a hard time.
I had a hard time.
But I'm glad you made it. So I'm definitely glad you made it, man. And I want to ask you the same question. Does the abundance of money, does that change or erase your Blackness in the eyes of America, both Black and white? Doc, you hear her laughing, right?
I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
I can only speak from my honest opinion, and no amount of money that I can have would ever erase the fact that I'm Black. That's not up for debate. I think the problem is, and it should be, the question should be reapproached to the fact that once we as Black individuals make it to a level of where we have an abundance of money, what do we do with that? How do we uplift our own people in our own community? That's the issue. That's the problem. We don't give back, and we don't pave the way for the next generation or other people that's trying to do it. So yeah, you can have no money and be a sellout. You can have abundance of money and be a sellout. I mean, it goes either way. The issue is that once you make it, what are you doing for the people that's underneath of you too?
Good deal. And that's a very powerful question. Now we're actually about to get out of here. We should have been gone already, but I have another caller from the 404 area code. I want to touch you, and I definitely appreciate you calling in. What's your name and where you calling from?
Am I on?
Yes.
My name is Dr. Estella T. Jackson. I'm calling from Douglasville, Georgia.
Okay. Hey, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. I see Doc lit up when you said your name. Yeah. Do you know that young man?
I sure do. I gave birth to him.
Absolutely. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm very honored to have you on today. Thank you very much. I appreciate you calling in. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't usually do this, but my heart has been troubling for several weeks now, especially looking at what's going on in our country, what's going on with our elected officials, how they have sold themselves to the devil just to be in a political office, to have power, to have authority. that they have just sold out to the devil. And I said that with people who have obtained money, especially in the Black community, it's not that they feel that they can turn their back. What they are doing is exhibiting their true character. It was in them to begin with, but they couldn't exhibit it because they didn't have anything to put forth. So when they obtain money, now they are putting forth those ideologies that they already had inside of them. And what was that? To be greater, to be better, to show you that I can get what you said I could not get. It goes back to slavery. It goes back to those indoctrinations that were pounded into us by our parents, our grandparents, and how they would teach us, because I'm old, how they would teach us coming up that a Black man wasn't nothing, a Black man couldn't do nothing, white man did whatever he wanted to us, and we had to accept it, including rape in front of the husbands and stuff like that. All the stories my mother would tell me sitting on the porch. But I said that to say that our true character always comes out when we have money. Our true character and integrity always show when we have money. Because when we have money, we think that we are somebody, we have a pain, we're just as good as the white man, which we were good before we got the money. But see, because of the indoctrination, we don't see it, we don't believe it, and we have not received it.
Wow.
So we grow up thinking that we are nothing. We grow up thinking that we are second class. I remember when I was working in, it was always so many Blacks working in my area at the time, and they would do all kind of things to us and everything. And I had the highest degree in that area of all of the other people. They always want to put me down, always want to make me look like I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was talking about, but I had the highest level of education in that area, in that particular department. But it was always something to put Black men down. But even at that, even working with other Black people, they would say, Black men ain't no good. And I would say, that's a lie. I have 2 Black boys, and I know they good. They some good. And they would actually say, I want my daughter to marry such and such. I don't want my daughter to marry a Black man. And they honestly felt like that. Why? Because of the indoctrination, the early teachers, what they observed, what they heard. So therefore, they internalize, they don't tell you that they are nothing. I remember one day getting in an argument with a coworker that was white, and she had done some things to me, and I was so hurt. And I said, "You did them because you look at me as a nigga, don't you?" And she just couldn't believe that I used the word nigga. But that's the way she looked at me, because as she looked at me as an equal in our employment status, she would not have done what she did to me. And that's how Black men are. They were denied for so long. You don't look at certain women. You better not look at them. You don't speak to let the boy in Alabama got Emma Chip. But his name, the boy in Alabama got killed. But I'm just saying, so when we obtain money and somebody said no, but because you got money, you think you got power, you're going to take it anyway. You can't take my sex from me. If I tell you no sex is no sex. Don't you say, oh, we have a relationship. Even we got a relationship. And I said, no, I don't feel like it. I have the right to say no.
Time out.
Well, it doesn't matter what you say. But money,
You better do it.
Money talk.
Time out.
Hey, Doc, you better do it, because I'm not going to, Doc.
And bull and
Queen Mother. Time out.
people do what they do. Because they have money and they know the lawyers are going to get them out of whatever they get involved in. Unless the power behind them say no.
Queen Mother.
And that's
Queen
all.
Mother.
Look at Bill Cosby.
Queen Mother.
Yeah, I don't know if he's guilty or not. I don't know. Look at how
Okay.
So when the establishment wants to destroy us, it doesn't matter how much money you have. You're Black, they don't want you. They're going to destroy you. So we need to start looking at the past.
Okay, good deal, good deal. Mom, I'm gonna tell you something. I definitely appreciate you. You had your son over there jumping up and down. I'm not. That was good. That was good. But listen, we got to get out of here. We actually have to go. We have one more caller. Caller, very quickly, very quickly. What's on your heart? Where you calling from, and what's on your heart right now? Caller from the 346 area code.
Oh, hello. My name is Godiva, and I'm calling from San Antonio, Texas.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Doing well.
In regards to, because I know you said that you all are, I've been listening for a while, and in terms of the, it all stems from the mentality that people have. And not only does it stem from just mentality, but also we have to look at it more on a biblical standpoint, because God has given us principles on how to deal with money. The mentality that we've been walking in for so long, it stems even back from even the Bible with the Egyptians, how they felt like, where how they felt like the people of Israel, they were in suffrage, and that, they had to walk alongside the Egyptians where they had money. So, I mean, this mentality goes back even as far as the Bible. But God has given us principles on how to live and how to deal with our money. And naturally, as a Black person, when we get money, then the others will feel like, oh, you're bougie, you're not this, you're that, you got to give back to your community. Yes, true, we do. And at the same time, is that when you get money, you have to have a different mindset. You can't have the same mentality, project mentality with money, because you have to be able to govern and be a good steward over your money and what God has blessed you with.
Absolutely.
Because even in the Bible, we have the disciples that as they made money and as they did things, their money had to be able to supply their trips or be able to do where they could help one another and the people that needed it. So it all stems back to, instead of going with the religious things, they need to go back to a biblical perspective. If we do that as a body and as a culture, then our money will work for us, and we will be able to go a lot further.
Okay, good deal, sister. I definitely appreciate it. As a matter of fact, we're gonna do a part 2 of this one. We're gonna do a part 2 very soon, in probably the next couple of days, earlier part of next week. We're gonna do a part 2. But right now, we got to get out of here, man. Doc, if you don't mind, sir, will you pray us out?
Sure. God, we thank you for this time that we've had together. Thank you for this rich conversation that we've had. And I thank you for every contributor, for their wisdom, their experience, their insight. Bless them tremendously. And we continue to pray for the Antonio Brown situation. We pray, Lord, that you would touch him. We pray and lift him up to you as our brother, our son, our nephew. We pray also that you would touch those who have been impacted in any way, and that you continue to heal us as a people and help us to move forward to our purpose and destiny. We pray in your many names. I pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. We are about to get out of here. This has been an amazing broadcast. This has absolutely been an amazing broadcast. I definitely enjoyed it. I hope you all enjoyed it as well. This is just another episode of Around the Table. We're going to do this again. And I hope and I pray that we can get this same panel back in here again next week and continue on this. And so if I can get everybody to come back in, we'll schedule sometime earlier part of next week and definitely do this again. I'm looking forward to it. It's been a great broadcast. It is now 6:15. You're about to exit around the table, but before you go, I want you to do me 2 favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us, because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number 2, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug, because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. You all have a great day and a better tomorrow. We're going to get out of here, and y'all have a great day.
All right. Bye.
Trying to get this music to cue up. What is going on here? There we go.